Hey everybody, welcome back to Moving Matt. We do vlogs, travel, and some camera stuff. And today we're going to be talking about a couple cameras I don't think you've ever heard of. Just kidding, we're going to be talking about the Canon Eos R5 and R6. And we're going to be talking about it as it pertains to travel creators. I'm going to be going through a few of the pros and cons of each, and maybe why you would want to choose one or the other for your travel videos. So starting off with the R5, first pro for the R5 is the 45 megapixel sensor. So that 45 megapixel count is going to be excellent for people who are taking landscape photography and getting all those beautiful sceneries that you see when you're traveling, and also just being able to crop in when you need to crop in. You're going to be getting plenty of resolution for your images to be able to do pretty much whatever you want with it. The other huge pro, and is what everybody's talking about, and that is the 8K RAW capabilities of this camera. Now, I'll be the first one to say that we don't really need 8K at this point, and some people think of it as kind of a gimmick, but I do think there are a lot of benefits to that 8K RAW for travel creators in particular. So when you're traveling, you're in a run and gun scenario. You don't want to take 10 or 15 different lenses with you. You just want to have 2 or 3, 4 tops. And having 8K and being able to zoom in 2 times and still have 4K, or zoom in 8 times and still have a 1080p resolution is going to be absolutely beautiful for travel creators. Another big pro for the R5 is going to be the 4K 120. I mean, you can just throw a rock around YouTube and you'll see a travel video using slow motion. And being able to have 4K 120, an extremely high quality slow motion image, that is going to be a big benefit to a lot of creators in the travel space. Moving along, but still in that same vein, is just the 4K image in general. So the 4K is going to be getting downsampled from that 8K. So you're going to be getting extremely crisp and clean images coming out of just the regular 4K. And I'm really excited to see how it works. Another benefit is the bigger and better screen. So if you're a travel creator and you're in maybe a very sunny situation, always having a little bit more real estate to be able to see that image, and going along with that as well, it has a better EVF. It is almost double the resolution of the R6 model. So now moving on to the cons of the R5. Well, the first big con is it's really expensive, at least when you're comparing it to the R6. Do I think it's 100% worth what you're getting out of it? Absolutely. But if you're a travel creator, having that $1,400 gap between the R5 and R6 has to matter, especially depending on where you're traveling. For me, when I go to Southeast Asia, $1,400 US is a lot of money. So that's a lot more time and locations that you can get to create what you're wanting to create. The other big con is going to be that overheating issue. If you're in a tropical type scenario, you're probably not going to be able to take advantage of that 8K resolution near as much as you would like, because it's so hot outside and the camera can get so hot. I mean, you may not be able to take advantage of it as much as you would think. Another con is that there's no 1080p 120 frames per second. To me, this doesn't really make much sense, because if you can do 4K 120, you can absolutely do 1080 120. So for them to leave that out seems a little odd for me. I don't know if they're going to be adding that in a firmware later, but as of now, there's no 1080 120, and that's kind of a big deal, because having that 1080 120 will help keep those files smaller. And that brings me to the final con that I see for travel creators, and that is large file sizes. So when you're in a travel situation, you may not have the capacity to store all that 8K RAW and those 45 megapixel images. You may be trying to travel light, just like you're not wanting to carry a lot of different lenses. You might not want to carry a lot of different hard drives with you. And storage can be very expensive, especially when you start talking about the file sizes of the R5. So now that I've talked about the R5, let me roll over to the R6. So the first pro of the R6 is that 20 megapixel sensor. And you may be thinking, well, that's weird. You gave a pro to the R5 for the 45 megapixels. Why are you going to give a pro to the R6 for the 20? Well, that's 2 big reasons. The first being the smaller file sizes, but the other, more important to me, is going to be the low light performance. The low light performance of the R6 is probably going to be significantly better than the R5. And when you're in a traveling scenario, a lot of times you're at the mercy of the time of day. And sometimes stories need to be told at night, and being able to have that low light performance is going to be a blessing. Of course, there is smaller lights that you can take with you to travel, but still having that low light is a big pro in the R6. And of course, the other huge benefit is, well, it's cheaper. I kind of already talked about that in the cons to the R5, but yeah, $1,400 for travelers, that's a big deal. So you got to be really thinking about, is $1,400 worth it to be spending extra for a camera or be spending extra for an experience? And that's something to really take into consideration. Another huge pro for me in the R6 category is the 1080-120. Having the 1080-120 is really going to save you on the file sizes, which is another huge pro. The smaller file sizes of the picture, the smaller file sizes of the video. These are factors to take into consideration if you're going to be taking this camera with you to create travel videos. And that leads me probably to the biggest pro in the R6 bracket, and that's no overheating issues. At least not that we've heard about. I think them trying to keep it a little bit more reasonable as far as the specs go has kept it from overheating. And that could be a big issue depending on the type of content you're making. You know, if you're in a tropical scenario and you're going to be filming for a long period of time, then the R6 may be the more practical of the two for you. So now that I've given you some of the pros, let me go down the cons for the R6. Well, the cons of the R6 are going to be the pros of the R5. It doesn't have that 45 megapixel count, so you can get the best resolution for those landscape photos. It doesn't have the 8K RAW capabilities or the 4K 120. Its 4K is downsampled from 5K, but it's not downsampled from the 8K. So it's going to be awesome, but you're not going to be getting the R5 video quality out of the R6. Now that I've went through some of the pros and cons as it pertains to travel creators, I'm going to tell you which one I'm more interested in getting and which one I plan on getting in the future. And for me, well, that's going to be the R5. It's just a little too tempting for me to want all those extra benefits of the R5 over the R6, but it's also because of my particular style of making videos and my particular situation when it comes to traveling. So personally, I don't think the overheating is going to be a huge issue for me because I don't plan on using that 8K or the 4K 120 in a long extended period of time. I would probably be just using it in small little bursts, and that's just because of the type of videos that I make. And the other reason is when I travel to Southeast Asia, I do have my wife's family over there. So I'll have a hub that I can store my files more easily than other people. I'm not gonna have to be a total nomad. So that's a benefit for me that might not be there for other people. The other big thing for me is having that 45 megapixel image. I wanna be able to crop in with my photos. Maybe I'm just not that great of a photographer, but sometimes you're in a situation when you can't get as close to a subject as you would like. And having that little extra reach to crop in is gonna be a huge benefit. And that's why I will be getting the R5 for me in my particular situation. But your situation may be different, your traveling scenario may be different, and that's why I think you can go to those pros and cons and really just weigh it out for you. So I hope this video is giving you some clarification if you're between the R5 and R6, because both of these cameras are a big purchase, and it's always worth taking an extra beat to consider and not just get wrapped up in the hype and maybe buying something that you didn't need. So if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing, and until next time, peace.